All right, welcome back. Connor Happer, Josh Hudson with you here on the Connor Happer Show on 1620 The Zone and on 1620thezone.com. Zone deals are back, folks.
Oh, Happy New Year indeed.
2025 is uncanceled because zone deals are back. And this week's zone deal is to Ramona's Mexican restaurant located in Florence. And they're known for their famous deep fried burritos, cheeseburgers, Indian tacos. All that sounds awesome. And their popular homemade hot and mild sauce. This week's zone deal, $50 in gift vouchers for just $25 on sale tomorrow at 9 at 1620thezone.com. Josh.
Connor.
I was surprised to get done watching the end of the fantastic football game between Arizona State and Texas, and then to immediately be taken to the Rose Bowl where the sun had not yet set behind the San Gabriel Mountains. And Ohio State was already winning, and they were about to punch another one in within the matter of seconds of tuning into that. They were about to be up 14-0 in the matter of mere moments.
That got out of hand quick.
It sure did. So this is a game, to me, with Ohio State smashing Oregon, of course, in the college football playoff quarterfinal yesterday. 41-21 was the final, but I don't know. It kind of felt like 62-3 to me.
Yeah.
Somewhere in that range. No, I mean, Oregon, there was a moment where I was like,
If?
Because it was what, 34-15? I think they got it to 34-15, and they had the ball, and it was like, oh, whoa, if they go down, I mean, we're cooking a little bit here. No. And Ohio State got it and went down and scored. 41-21 was your final. So this is a game that I think is a really, really good example to show people and say all the narratives that people have been talking about the last 2 weeks. Strength of schedule, transitive property, how the playoff games, are a reflection of the regular season or vice versa. And here's a really good lesson to take from it. Because remember, Josh, Oregon beat Ohio State in the regular season. It was a long time ago.
That's right.
But it's a good lesson to remember. Teams change. They get better and worse throughout the season. And I'm not even saying that happened with Ohio State or Oregon. I'm not saying that Oregon got worse or that they were a fraud or whatever. And then people are doing this with the seeding too. They're like, oh, well, geez, what does Oregon get for being the number one undefeated team all year long? All they get is to play Ohio State. You can't control that.
Yeah, and you have to play tough games to win a national championship.
Yes, exactly.
There's no clear and easy path to it. Now, are all teams in the 12-team playoff historically with a bye are 0-3 all time?
Bad precedent to start with,
yes,
that's for sure.
Yes,
but sports don't really work. What we try to do in these situations often when we're trying to make bold proclamations or have takes about the sport is we try to boil these teams down to a data point. This is what they are. We try to label them. Millennials would hate it.
Oh.
We try to label these teams. This is what they are. So it's this. And then a whole collection of teams, this is what they are. That's when you start your narratives on the sport and the conferences and all that stuff. Sports don't work like that. Clearly, in Ohio State's case, emotions play into things.
Oh, you're going to say, what about us? Okay, we're going to bomb it deep because you don't expect us to, and we're really mad.
I don't know what happened in that Michigan game, but I know what I saw. They went into a shell. They were scared little babies crying in the what is going? We can't lose to Michigan. And then they just went into a shell. They got bombarded against Michigan. And they came out and they responded the last two games. They have throttled two good teams. Oregon's really good.
Yeah.
Oregon is really, really good. And so how good are you, or this is what you are, is a constantly changing and evolving data point. It's not even a data point. It's cascading all the time. And teams meet at different times. One team's on the upswing, one team's on the downswing, one team, it from an emotional perspective and from a confidence level and all of those things. So when it comes to selecting the teams to the playoff and then seeding them, my thing is this, because I know there's going to be a lot of conversation after this playoff ends about how we're doing the seeding.
We got to fix all of this. We got to fix all of it.
First of all, once again, where's my overreaction side? Jeez. 1 year? In fact, you know what? One game. And we're like, we got to change the seating. One game happened. Indiana and Notre Dame happened, so we got to change this. You know how ridiculous you sound, right?
Yeah.
You guys know how ridiculous. I don't think they do. I don't think people know how ridiculous they sound.
You're going to have a Final Four that is Texas versus Ohio State.
Yeah.
And Penn State versus either Georgia or Notre Dame.
That's awesome.
Buku brands, buku ratings.
Yeah.
Like, couldn't have gone better for ESPN.
So when we talk about the seeding and who gets into the playoff and all these things, I say this. We have parameters. We have some parameters now. Some of it is still subjective, but we have parameters, right? You get into the playoff, and generally, if you're asking a team before the season, hey, would you like to win your conference and have a bye in the first round of the college football playoff? They say, yes. I'd like to...
fewer games to a national championship.
What do I have to do to win a national championship? Is it play 17 games? Or is it, 14 or 15 or 16? Like, they're going to take the lesser number every time. We have the parameters. We set the parameters. You meet the parameters. You get in the dance. And for the case of the subjective teams, the at-large teams like the Indiana and Tennessee and the whole hubbub about Alabama, losers, by the way. Like we don't, there is a certain parameter when it comes to that as well. Win your games.
Novel.
That's a parameter.
Novel concept.
Win your games. And so what happens in the dance should definitely, like, I don't know how that's not a perfect illustration of how what happens in the playoffs should not necessarily be used as a referendum on how the regular season went. You saw it play out with your own eyes. Use your brain. And the regular season will not necessarily give us a roadmap to the postseason. This is the way it is in every postseason that's ever existed throughout the history of time. We can think we know who the best team is, but we don't know until who the champion is until the game is played.
I thought that the parallels between the basketball tournament and the football tournament would be few and far between. But I'm finding more and more, like, yeah, sometimes, you get a crazy upside down NCAA tournament, and sometimes it's chalk. Sometimes you get a team that's not supposed to get their brains beat in, and they get their brains beat in. Like, it's kind of random.
And it like, there is different talent levels, and oh no, we're losing it.
Oh no,
we're losing a TV. It's 2025. We're losing a television.
It's all digital now.
How are they going to watch the Sugar Bowl? I guess we have the.
How are we going to watch Royals games?
That is actually great. We'll have to have.
We need that back March 27th.
He did not. He was not.
We've crossed the equinox, by the way.
Oh, of the baseball off season.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I really don't have. I don't know. Like, I'm open to whatever here, but like I don't have a problem with the way that the teams were seated. But maybe that's because I welcome a little bit of I don't know, randomness. Like, it's not going to work out like this every year.
Yeah.
In terms of how teams are matched up.
Sometimes you will have the ACC champion get a bye.
Yeah, sometimes the 5 seed is going to be a great place to be.
Mm-hmm.
There will be a year where the 12 will win that game. Mm-hmm. And I guess I just hope that we at least give it an opportunity to either fail or succeed and give it a few runs through before we start upending the entire thing again, but we love to just change things and mess with things based on
They're absolutely going to change the buys.
immediate. They are.
This
I know.
off- this
I know.
offseason.
I know.
Yeah,
Everybody like this is something that everybody has universally agreed on, except for me.
No, I'm actually with you. I think it's an interesting, unique to the sport wrinkle that the conference champion gets, the 4 major conference champions get a bye. And if you're the 5th conference champion, well, sorry. I think it's an interesting, unique wrinkle.
As I mean, there was the option, of course, to keep it to lesser teams as well, and then we wouldn't have so much like we have a mix of objectivity and subjectivity as it pertains to the playoff at this point. And I know like where I know where the brands are in the college football landscape, and I know that those teams that finish second in the Big Ten and second in the SEC are oftentimes better than the team that places first in the Big 12. I know, like that. I mean, I was really praying that Arizona State was going to win yesterday, and I thought they would. Honestly, I picked them to win. That was my first incorrect prediction of the playoff.
Somebody said Cam Scattaboo and them boys would give them a game.
Yeah, I said they'd win though.
Yeah.
I gotta fess up to it.
We told you to watch.
Platcat writes in.
Hi, Platcat.
Ohio State was the 4th seed in the first ever playoff and had no problem running through Alabama and Oregon. 10 years later, nothing has changed. Beat who's on the other side of the ball. Like, I sort of hate to boil it down to that, but I mean, totally. You have to beat the other team across the Like, I feel like I'm trying to explain this to you all. And you don't need it explained to you. You watch the game and you're into the conversations just like we are. Like, I don't need to explain it to people, but I feel like I've had to do that of like, yeah, you guys remember there's games, right?
It's not a sim season like
on
on your video game.
I think the talent that teams have is a good, like it's a good it's a helpful predictor from times. Or maybe we need to stop calling it predictors, or maybe it's I don't know what the right word would be, but it's something that can go into your thought process as you look at the game. But coaching matters, quarterback play matters, and all this stuff. And like, I think a lot of times we look at the brands and we say, well, they have more talent, they should be in.